8 Safety Tips for Highway Driving. It's typically preferable to gradually gain confidence when driving on local roads when you're a novice driver. You can advance to highway driving from there. Many new drivers find it intimidating to think about driving on the highway for the first time. After all, doing so takes continual concentration and careful dexterity as you travel at high speeds, merge into traffic, and change lanes. Despite how daunting the highway may seem, becoming a confident driver only requires a little planning and practice. When you first enter the highway and on each subsequent road journey, the following highway driving advice will help you stay safe. 1. Never operate a vehicle while fatigued or impaired. On highways as well as city streets, drunk driving is a very real issue. In the United States, 1 person per 50 minutes passes away in an accident involving drunk driving, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. Of course, drinking alcohol isn't the only risky way to impair your ability to drive. Drugs, like marijuana, and even being tired while driving can be fatal for motorists, passengers, and drivers alike. In fact, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, approximately 700 Americans lost their lives in car accidents caused by drowsy driving in just 2019. Fortunately, it's simple to avoid driving while intoxicated. You should never drive when intoxicated, whether from drugs or alcohol. Make sure you have a designated driver or another safe way to get home, like a cab or Uber, if you intend to go out and have a few drinks. Aim to get the suggested amount of sleep each night, especially if you want to drive the following day. Age-specific sleep guidelines can differ, but most teens and adults require 7 to 10 hours of sleep per night. 2. Review the weather report and avoid driving in poor weather. Take some time to check the weather before you get on the road. Smartphones, smartwatches, and other linked gadgets have made it simpler than ever to get the most recent weather forecast. Avoid driving whenever you can during periods of bad weather, such as during snowstorms or downpours. The most hazardous period for highway driving is the first 10 minutes after it starts to rain or snow. This is due to the fact that during this period the roads are usually the slickest as oil from moving vehicles mixes with water and debris to decrease traction. The ideal day to take your first road trip on the highway should be one that is clear and without any chance of precipitation. 3. Avoid rush hour on your first highway drive. It's generally not a good idea to do your first interstate trip during the peak of the weekday rush hour. The same goes for picking a wide, 6-lane roadway for your first driving experience. Instead, carefully consider the timing of your first highway trip. In general, you should pick a local roadway that isn't overly broad or congested. The peak period for highway traffic, known as rush hour, often occurs between 8 and 10 a.m. and 4 to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. Consider scheduling your first interstate ride for some time in the early afternoon to avoid busy traffic. The fewer vehicles on the road will allow you to become accustomed to highway driving without the stress of congested traffic. 4. Open the highway travel in the correct lane. The right lane is referred to as the merge lane on the motorway. Most on-ramps to the motorway merge into this lane. Due to its tendency to move more slowly, this lane is an ideal area for new highway drivers to start off. Your confidence and comfort level with driving at highway speeds will increase if you spend the most of your first highway trip in the right lane. In order to use an exit ramp, you normally need to be in the right lane, which makes things simpler when you want to leave the highway. As your level of comfort grows, you can begin to use the middle lane or lanes more frequently, and you might even start using the left lane to pass at a faster pace and practice lane changes. 5. Always leave ample room when changing lanes. Speaking of lane changes, merging and changing lanes might be among the most nerve-wracking aspects of highway driving. This is particularly true when there is more traffic because it may be difficult to find a space between vehicles. Again, this is the reason it's advised to do your first road trip during a period of light traffic. Whatever the level of traffic on the highway, there are basic guidelines you should follow when merging and changing lanes to keep both you and other drivers safe. Make sure to accelerate adequately when you approach the speed limit, or a close approximation of it, before merging into the roadways. Slow merging increases the likelihood of a collision because it forces motorists to apply the brakes. Use your side mirror often to check for traffic in the lane you want to merge into while you're on the merge ramp, and make sure to use your turn signal to signal that you want to merge. When changing lanes, the same rules apply. Always use your side mirror, turn signal, and, if practical, a quick glance over your shoulder. Recall that when merging or trying a lane change, you should always drive defensively and yield to other motorists. Never assume that you have the right of way or that another vehicle would yield to you. 6. Whenever possible, keep a safe following distance. Simply keeping a safe space between your car and other vehicles at all times is one of the easiest methods to lower your risk of getting into an accident on the highway. This provides you more time to react and apply the brakes in the event of a hazardous circumstance. How much space between your car and the one in front of you should you maintain? The 3-second rule states that you should leave at least 3 seconds between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you. However, you might want to raise your following distance even further to account for this if the road conditions are poor because of bad weather or other circumstances. How do you measure the distance you are following when driving? It's very easy. Select a large object in front of you, such as an overpass or highway sign. Start counting when the vehicle in front of you passes that object. You are following too closely and need to change your following distance if you get at the object before the count of 3. 7. Pay attention to your environment and minimize distractions. Distracted driving is one of the most frequent causes of road accidents in the U.S., according to the NHTSA. In fact, distracted driving was a factor in more than 3,100 fatal incidents in only 2019 alone. Here are a few frequent instances of inattentive driving. Using a phone while driving. Driving while eating or drinking. Driving while grooming/applying makeup. Conversing with other occupants of the car. Modifying the vehicle's GPS, climate settings, or other features. Be proactive about steering clear of distractions while driving if you want to stay safe on the road and lower your risk of getting into an accident. To avoid distractions while driving, store your cell phone in a secure location and/or turn it on Do Not Disturb mode. Avoid eating or drinking while driving as well. If you get hungry while driving, you can always pull over and eat before you resume driving. Spend some time setting your GPS to your destination before you start driving so you don't have to modify the temperature controls while you're on the road. 8. Pay attention to the road and remain alert. When you're on the highway, it's extremely crucial to maintain your attention and concentration. All it takes is one slip-up when you're moving at fast speeds and close to other cars for a dangerous situation for you and other drivers. Keep an eye out for other cars as you drive down the road. For instance, stay alert for brake lights up ahead that may be a sign that you need to slow down. Likewise, keep an eye on what other drivers are doing by often checking your side view and rear view mirrors. You may stay safer on the roadway by developing the practice of frequently checking your surroundings.